What is up, guys? It's AngryAztecSun here, and I'm doing my first LSD trip report reading. Definitely not my first LSD trip report. I have plenty of those on this channel. You could check them out, but we are going to be reading the LSD Thumbprint Story. So I'll have the link in the description below, and without further ado, let's begin. Honestly, I had no idea that such massive doses of LSD had been used. I came across a thread describing a thumbprint of LSD. A dose based on sticking one's thumb into pure LSD powder and licking it off, an amount equivalent to hundreds of doses, several milligrams of pure LSD. Old school doses were typically 100 micrograms, sometimes only 20 to 50 micrograms these days. Several people on the thread had supposedly taken this dose, typically described as an initiation of trust into the family of folks who lovingly supply LSD to the clan of deadheads, rainbow gatherings, and etc. Just to be on the safe side, please understand that I'm not recommending this to anyone, just sharing interesting info from the thread linked above. Personally, I'm a fan of small, safe, reasonable doses. Also, although I can't point to any super evident data, for whatever reason it seems that reports of long-term problems seem to come more from LSD users, possibly DMT users, but not so much, if any, from psilocybin users. What follows is a substantial amount of selected quotes from several people, mainly two individuals. Note that 1 milligram equals 1,000 micrograms. What's it like? It's not possible to describe what it's like, except maybe death. What did you see? All. What did you do? My body did nothing but lay down. I was no more. Just all. Eating LSD crystal is intense, magical, crazy, and the ultimate act of submission to the psychedelic state. You feel it almost instantly. LSD crystal has an energy to it. Having a jar of it in my pocket is almost enough to alter my consciousness. As soon as it touches your skin or goes in your mouth, you can feel it. A lot of folks will throw up within minutes. This is an exorcism of sorts. Like all the negative energy being cast out of your body, then you lay down and learn. As for the experience, I just couldn't do justice to describe it. You're never the same again. A thumbprint doesn't open the door of perception, it blows it off the hinges. You melt into eternity. You let go and die into the moment, which is all. There is no you anymore, only all. The intensity of this can't be described, but you realize as you're slipping away that it's familiar. This is because it becomes quite clear this is exactly what happens when you die. After an eternity, you slowly start to come back into pieces. You feel reborn in a completely different person. You don't ever come completely down or back. This isn't a bad thing, but it's very scary at first. It's hard to describe a thumbprint. Human language cannot describe an experience that encompasses all of life. Every cell of every creature or living thing that ever lived or will live is connected by the energy or light. When we die, our body and our ego is gone. We become one with eternity or the light or God or whatever name you wish to call it. A thumbprint allows this to happen and return to our physical body. My first print I laid down and quickly realized that this was my actual death. You watch the whole process unfold with complete awareness. I didn't cling to my body. I just realized my life had passed. As I was spiraling up or out, I saw my life evolve through the years I lived. The happiness, the sadness, the people I loved and the people I didn't, the joy that I gave and the pain that I caused. I saw the true nature of reality and why things were the way they were. As I got higher, I saw the nature of reality on the cosmic scale and saw that the reason for our evolution was to experience love. To love is to have experienced the finest of life. Then came the moment where it was time to let go. As I did, it came for me and I sobbed uncontrollably, for I realized that the light or energy we call God or creation was perfect. It was pure, unconditional love. What else could God have been, I realized. That glint of innocent perfection in a baby's eye, the light, was pure as the heart of Jesus Christ. I dissolved into it and died. Since there was no me, only the all, I cannot remember the rest because there was no me to remember. After forever, I slowly descended into my body. I spent days awake afterwards talking to myself. I vowed to God to spread LSD so others could see the light. I vowed to look at every person as the Lord and treat them as such. I was reborn and continue to live by the values I learned. LSD is a direct message from God, period. I don't think we get another chance. We can love each other or we can kill each other, but it is up to us. I feel high all the time still, and it's been years. I must stress that I was in the company of very evolved and older people that made sure my experiences were optimal. These were kind, old spirits that had been where I was going many years before and many times. They held me as a baby every inch of the way. You have heard of near-death experiences, right? A thumbprint is a beyond-death experience. It is something one cannot just decide to do one day, and everyone I know who has done it has had a pretty high LSD tolerance and experience level. It is more a symbol of trust than key to enlightenment, as the experience is completely overwhelming, and memory is scrambled between acid dream and reality, with most of it blank. I had persistent imagery for several months, and for the following week felt rode hard and put away wet. When I showed up at the trailer, he had a funny grin on his face, and he said, "I hope you don't have plans." We went in, and his old lady was there. Unusual, and she was holding a small watch glass with the crystal spice in it. She said, "Honey, it is time to grow up." They then told me to stick in my thumb and press. By then, I was nervously curious and my hands were sweaty, so I pulled my thumb free with a generous coating on it. I looked at it, and I swear I could feel it starting. Then I stuck my thumb in my mouth and let go. The first hour or so, I think I was in and out of the world, then I just disappeared for eternity. In my opinion, part of me is still there. I am facing death due to a botched angiogram, and I know I will meet with the part of me which rides the eternal winds when my time is over. I know that death is a mere transition. I know this because I died that day in late 78 and arose again, reborn. My priorities of life were refocused, and I have been working to integrate the new paradigm of being which was created by that day ever since. I think if a lesson or enlightenment came from this, it is that I consciously participate in my life to a much greater degree. This is not the easy way to live in a world of injustice and cruelty. I have been forced to accept the balance of positive and negative without imposing my own desire. And I still must struggle mightily to integrate and exist in this society. My friend's old lady said it was time to grow up, but she did not say I would outgrow myself. I have absolutely no regrets, although the changes in my mind and thought process have made interfacing with traditional thinking a challenge. Like China said, every day I know I thumbprinted, but the funny thing is, no matter how you rewire your brain, life still brings the same challenges. I still have to struggle with the challenges, but I believe that I may have somewhat more novel solutions to some things than some others. But all in all, I am remarkably a ward cleaver, considering. One last thing. I've experienced literal death, my heart stopping, and the irresistibility of death and strong psychedelic experience are quite similar. In death, one realizes the ineffable nature of the experience, and resisting is futile, much like resisting a thumbprint. It is just not possible. There is a massive difference between 500 micrograms and a thumbprint. They're not even comparable trips. As for saturation effect, this is from medical research in the 50s comparing doses of LSD. There may not be a noticeable difference between 1,000 and 2,000 micrograms. There is a huge difference between 1,000 micrograms and 40 or 50 milligrams. Of course, the researchers never ventured into this dosage range. Usually, the person is deemed ready by those who can tell. They are taken care of before and after the print by the family. This may take up to a week before you're functioning again. Sometimes skeptics are printed, but their reactions are usually very, very shattering. It's hard when your whole belief system explodes and the truth is revealed. You basically have to start from scratch. All those years you thought you knew the truth and God, then in a matter of minutes you find you don't know shit. Then you die. It's affected me on so many different levels. Mentally, it has changed my whole outlook on life and my perception of the world. Spiritually, it has given me the absolute faith in eternity that can only be had from being eternity. My philosophies are all based on my experiences. I no longer see the world as a bunch of separate species and things, but a connected matrix of biology and energy that flows to and from a core that is the pure light of unconditional love. Physically, it's affected me in that you never come back down completely, but why would you anyway? You can't look at the truth and then pretend you didn't see it and that it doesn't exist. A thumbprint is a lifelong commitment. As for visual activity, it's constant, but I hardly notice it anymore. Eternity is in the here and now. So is my life, so they constantly flow together or against each other. Meditation is key for me now. I no longer consider my physical reality my true reality. I guess you could sum it up as Robert Hunter did after his night of 250,000 micrograms. I died 1,000 deaths. That's what it really is, death. Most people live their lives unsure about what happens when we die. Even the most devoutly religious have anxiety about the big moment. I don't. I welcome it. That's how it's changed me. The 50 to 500 microgram range will saturate the serotonin system. However, LSD also affects other receptors like dopamine and noradrenaline to a lesser degree. At ultra doses, these effects come more strongly into play, negating the plateau effect. The difference between 500 micrograms and 10,000 plus is incomparable, as is the mode of ingestion. The change begins as the crystals melt on your tongue and is totally unlike eating a pile of pre-laid paper. One senses his imminent ego death coming as the crystals are absorbed into the tongue. The knowledge that you are totally in the care of the family is what one clings on to, as long as concepts such as family remain. Then, one is simply gone. When awareness returns, it is changed, and in my opinion, forever. I have to laugh when Ram Dass says he came down. Returning to sobriety is not the same as being unchanged. One does come down from a print, but not unchanged. I've had the privilege of speaking with Ram Dass on several occasions, and to this older tripper, his mark is as clear as if it were painted upon his forehead. It's a feeling of energy. You feel it instantly, especially after your first one. Your nervous system jolts to attention as if to say, here we go. On a thumbprint-sized dosage, you no longer have any beliefs. There is no you. Reactions can vary on the way up, but soon, all your beliefs, attitudes, and perceptions completely vaporize along with physical reality. None of it survives a print. There is no I anymore, only all. Afterwards, your beliefs are very different, or they may be similar if your beliefs were close to the truth to begin with. People can bullshit their way through a lot of intense psychedelic experiences. Somehow, they can hold on to their twisted ego games sometimes. On a thumbprint, that's not even a possibility. You can't bullshit eternity when it's blasting you to pieces. The more you try to hold on, the quicker and harder it burns you. You dissolve and dissolve till there's nothing left for you to hang on to. On a print, you can go quietly and easily, or you can go kicking and screaming, but you are going to go no matter what. The thing about thumbprints is that after the first hour, there is no you to create fear or trick your body into shutting down. We've taken BP and pulse of people on thumbprint-sized doses before, and there's a slightly elevated blood pressure and heart rate, but not too extreme. These were experienced people as well, so there was no fear involved. We can only speculate as to these hypotheses, as no studies will ever be done. The fact that these doses are usually only done by people ready for them greatly helps that there are so little negative outcomes. That's why I believe prints should only be done in the mountains with family and not in a hospital like a lab rat. One thing I have noticed is that print doses after the first hour, when you've been vaporized and are completely gone, breathing seems to stabilize. Before that, the anxiety and fear have folks breathing like they're in a marathon. After they have let go, though, it seems that the body continues to function quite normally while they're away. It's that first hour that's so traumatic. On a normal large dose, there's the high visual activity, sensory alteration, synesthesia, ego loss, etc. On a thumbprint, it feels like you completely short-circuited your brain. All cognitive function stops, like pouring water on a breaker panel and it pops. Then all connections and activity are fried. The cognitive filter is shut off and eternity is able to creep in. Obviously, all brain activity doesn't stop because you keep breathing and your heart keeps pumping. The brainstem, hindbrain, medulla, pons, and cerebellum are probably not affected.